You know, I think I found an interesting spot to make YouTube videos. I mean, you probably recognize this church over there, which is in a lot of my videos, and well, there's the town of Kamnik back there, and of course here is a wall, which I'm not going to show in the video. So today I want to talk about the Insta360, my love and hate relationship with the camera. Now I've had it for about 3 months, and as much as I've come to love to use it, I've also noticed that there's a lot of different things that really annoy me, and the first one and most important one is the video quality. So whenever anybody tells you that the Insta360 X3 records with 5.7K resolution, you should just slap them in the face and be done with it. Well, I don't want to promote violence on this channel, but seriously, 5.7K is for the whole 360-degree field of view, and unless you're going for this right over here, well then that 5.7K is just gone out the window. Because what you will always do is reframe the shot. You're going to crop it in and make the shot look more pleasing to the eye. You can even go to a rectilinear form and then you're cropping in just a little bit more. In fact, what you're doing is you're zooming in and squeezing in the edges where all of the noise and all of the imperfections of the video are visible. So you will end up roughly with a 1080p resolution video, and I would say that even 1080p is pushing it, because in most cases it's going to be less, so it's going to be more like a HD video. Remember the 720p video when that came out? I mean, we were all excited, and then full HD 1080p came out. Well, with the Insta360 you'll be somewhere in that department. Now, I know that you should be using this type of camera for sports and action shots, and typically in those situations you're holding the camera pretty far away from you and you don't notice the imperfections because everything is moving really fast. And as you can see here, this is how an Insta action camera is supposed to be used. Now, I use it for static shots. I use it as a secondary camera to film me whenever I'm doing anything related to photography. So why did I choose this specific camera? Well, having a 360-degree field of view just means that you place the camera anywhere, and as long as one of these two lenses is pointing towards the action where you have the best quality, well then you're done with that. You just place it there and then you can always reframe in post-production. You never have to worry about if you're in the shot and how the shot looks, because it's so freakishly wide angle that it doesn't really matter how the shot is going to be framed, because you can reframe it afterwards. Now, and I actually thought that this is going to be very useful, and it is very useful, but the downside is that the video quality, as I said, is so much worse than, for instance, the OSMO Action, the first edition, which shoots 4K and it roughly gives you a 4K video recording. This is never going to be 4K. Even if you're using a single lens mode, which is 4K, it's going to be like an upscaled 4K resolution file. I mean, you can see in this example, it's like really... I mean, that's just not 4K, seriously. I mean, this right now here is what a 4K video should look like. Although this is downsampled from 6K, so it's sharp. Now, another really bad thing is that you have two lenses sticking out. Now, of course, you need these two lenses which have a 180-degree field of view, and some people actually say that it's more than 180 degrees. I don't really know how that's possible. But anyway, these two lenses are sticking out, and if you're using this in any sort of action scenario, you should have some sort of lens guards attached to this. Now, I bought the lens guards, but there was so much dust inside because I did a sloppy job, and so much moisture was kept inside that every time I got into a cold situation, you know, everything would just fog up, and I just threw them off because there was just... yeah, I mean, they didn't do the trick for me. Although my camera did fall down and it saved the lenses, but seriously, that is like putting plastic on a piece of quality glass, which these two lenses actually are. So for action shots, this is very frustrating because you're always going to bump this somewhere onto the rock or somewhere into the pavement or a tree, or... yeah, I'm still waiting for that to happen actually. The sock to keep it safe. Now, even though this is an action camera with two half-inch sensors, and those half-inch sensors doesn't mean that they're actually half-inch size, it's just a type of sensor, and these are really teeny tiny small, but even though it has two of them, the low-light video quality is really bad. I think the OSMO Action, the first edition, and I think every newer action camera beyond that is so much better in low light, even though it has a smaller sensor, because this really shows a lot of the noise and a lot of artifacts that are squeezed in because of that dewarping that you're doing in post-production, getting that really amazingly wide-angle shot into a somewhat usable looking video file. So every little artifact gets magnified this way, and if you combine that with the log image profile, which this also offers, you get even more noise and even more artifacts. So I've actually made a video about Insta360's picture profiles, and you can see it over here, or maybe wait until the end of this one and I will give you a link to that video. But the only really usable picture profile is the standard one, and I sometimes use HDR if it's really bright, but otherwise just go with the standard. No, but what are the positive things about this? Well, as I mentioned before, the capability of reframing in post-production, which is seriously priceless, and it's definitely worth buying an Insta360 camera, maybe this one, just because of that very special ability. Now, the whole post-production work is actually quite easy. You don't need to be very skilled in doing this because the Insta360 software is, well, it's really straightforward. I mean, there's not much to learn in it, but you can get really creative if you put a little bit of your creativity into the shots. And one feature that I really like is the ability to speed up a video file and get that kind of time-lapse looking result, and you get that with motion blur already baked in if you want to use that. I don't have to add motion blur then in another like Davinci Resolve video editing software. So this really speeds up the whole rendering thing, and I just have a very usable file in the end. And the audio coming from this is also quite decent. Now, I only use the stereo option and I leave all the other options off because I think that the stereo option is actually the best one. Who is this camera for? Well, if you want to do action shots and you don't want to worry about framing and getting the composition right, well, then you should get the Insta. Also get it with the selfie stick because that disappears if you're filming yourself, because it gets strapped right in the stitching line where both videos from both sensors are being, stitched together. So the selfie stick is going to be right in the middle and the camera makes it disappear, which is quite magical and quite an interesting thing when you see it for the first time. Maybe if you're doing vlogs, this could also be useful as long as you have it really far away from yourself. But if you want to do any sort of static shots like I'm using, this should really be considered only as a secondary behind-the-scenes camera. This should not be the main camera, and I'm learning this with every new video that I make, which is filmed with this. So anyway, those are my thoughts in this new spot that I found here. I hope you like this. I mean, I hope the view is nice. It's getting quite cloudy, so yeah, let me know down in the comments. If you have any questions, please also leave that down in the comments. Hit the like button for the video, subscribe, and I will leave you with this video over here if you want to learn about picture profiles of the Insta360. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.